It's a brand new year. So what's in store for World of Tanks console? Well, we can't answer that question in its entirety as we don't have a roadmap. But what we can do is make a wish list of things we'd like to see come to the game this year. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. I've made a list of things I'm looking forward to and hoping are implemented into the game within the year. This list will exclude tank lines, however, as we know for certain that tanks are definitely coming, like any line from PC for World War II, or maybe a French line in Cold War. So it would be redundant to mention all the lines we'd like to see in this video. Of course, I am looking forward to those new tanks obviously, as it is content, but instead, this is a list of features and changes that are not certain to come to the game. With all that being said, let's get into the list. We begin with one that some might find odd, but I personally would like for tier 1s and 2s to be brought back to the game. This is for a few reasons. Firstly, it would be a better starting point for each line in the game, as they all come off of one tank for their nation. And those tier 1s were all free, whereas now, each line is separated and only 2 tier 3s are free. Which is odd, because all of the bottom Era 1 tanks are free for their respective lines in Cold War. New players should have that freedom to get the start of any line for free like in the past, and like they do in Cold War. It would open up World War II and make them feel like they have more of a free choice of where to start, because the first tank in every line is free. Right now, with only 2 tier 3s being free, they are kind of shoehorned into those lines right off the bat, or have to play games with other tanks or them, at the very least, to make the silver to begin another line. That's just one reason though. The second reason is that I believe it's a better place to start new players than allowing them to play Cold War. Right now, we only make them play the tutorials, which are terrible in my opinion anyway. If you want my thoughts on that, by the way, I made a video about that already a while back. Side note, it would be nice to have a better set of tutorials like the ones we once had that weren't so oddly staged and inconsistent with each other. But anyway, they have to play those tutorials in a few games of co-op before they can play multiplayer. I feel like bringing back a Proving Ground style of new player introduction would be better. Remove new player RNG and make them grind to a tier 3 in co-op before being able to play multiplayer. Because of that too, as a new player, they would get normal silver and XP in those co-op games until multiplayer is unlocked, so as to not make it stupidly long for no reason with the low XP and silver earns that co-op has. Lastly, it's just odd to start at tier 3 and then go up to tier 10. Like, where's 1 and 2? Oh, they were removed for no reason? Okay. And we're definitely not going to drop all the tiers to make it tiers 1 to 8 to normalize it, because it would be a weird change too. So instead, just bring back the 1s and 2s to complete the lineup again. The next thing I like back that we once had is having the games not instantly end when a base is capped or the last enemy is killed. Again, this is a small one, and some may not care, but the game just felt better when everyone spammed the GG command on the command wheel after the game ended, and you could jump off cliffs or just have a bit of fun at the end of a match after getting the win. And in the scenario of base capping, that usually means that there's still more damage to be had. So what it allowed was players who were about to get another shot in as the cap finishes to get those shots in. I can't tell you how many times my teammates who do 0 damage sit on the cap and rob me of my damage that's right in front of me because of this. If I just had a few more seconds, I could get that damage, but I can't, because the games end instantly now. Even a shot that's in the air when the game ends and connects with the person after will not give me the damage because of it. Before, when the games would still continue, you could get that cap off and even get the final kill for more XP across the board. Honestly, I think this is a simple request, and I would bring more sportsmanship back to the game with the GGs at the end, and allow early or unnecessary caps to feel less annoying, because there's still time to get damage after that cap. We continue with asking things to return that were once in the game with the next thing on my wish list. Now that ribbons have returned, and they look really nice by the way, I think the game could bring back some more of its character that it lost. So I'm hoping that we could see our old consumables and ammo icons be brought back into the game too. The ammo icons were much easier to tell what kind of ammo you were shooting before, and it looked like the real ammo obviously, which is just nice. I know this may be a subjective thing, but I loved the color coding and the identity each ammo had. I know they have color coding now too, but it's still just not so easy to identify rounds. It's not that important to do so when you can read what they are in the garage and know the placement of standard premium and HE rounds, but it's still just nice to see them. And like I just mentioned, it goes the same way for the consumables. The repair and med kits look too similar now to really tell them apart at a glance. And I know you don't have to look at them if you just set them up in a standard way for you to remember, and it becomes second nature. But I know when I was a new player, I didn't do that. So having them look different was nice. And again, it just had more character than these basic and low effort icons we have now. It really sucks when you take a look at the food too. Food before was unique to each nation, and again brought more character to the game. You had a case of cola for America. You had pudding and tea for the UK. You had spaghetti and flippin' meatballs for Italy. It was fun and cool to have those things in the game like that, and now every nation has a canteen and a chip bag with an arrow on it. So boring and unfortunate that we changed this. This definitely isn't priority, but after getting our ribbons back, I have high hopes that we can get all this back too. And the pattern continues. Trust me, this isn't a video asking for the game back in time, but the next thing I'm hoping comes back to the game is a real stats page filter, like we once had. Currently, we have two lists with different ordering options. You have a list of your owned tanks and a list of unowned tanks. And you can order these lists in ascending or descending orders by total battles, which is just dumb because I have to find the tank I'm looking for to see my total battles to then know where it would be on that list. By tank tier, which is the best option I suppose, but when you do that, it doesn't even follow any order. So you just have to scan through the tier of the tank you're looking for to find it. And having a lot of tier 8s, it's pretty annoying. If they went in tier order and then followed the garage order by nation, it wouldn't be so bad. Another option is sorting by victories, which has the same problem as total battles, and finally by mastery badges, which again is a similar problem too. Now these I suppose are good lists if you want to see what tank is your highest played, or how many aces you have, or the one with your highest amount of wins. But when I use the stat page, it's usually to see my marks on my tanks. We used to have a regular filter here, which allowed us to easily find the tank I was looking for, but now we have this. Honestly though, this can work if they don't want to add another filter somewhere. If they can sort the tanks by nation, like they do in the garage when I sort it by tier, it would help to not have to play hide and seek with tanks I'm looking for. So Wargaming, if you don't want to add a normal filter here, at least sort the tanks by nation when choosing to sort by tier. It would make things a lot easier. This next one is pretty simple. More commander skill slots. At the moment, there's 7 skills I put on every tank. Besides Artie, of course, who plays that. Leaving 2 slots to make unique to my tank. But even then, those 2 slots are pretty standard depending on tank class. Which is a problem in my eyes, because I can't make a commander for a specific tank, like those that like to catch on fire, without sacrificing competitive perks. I can't pick firefighting and preventative maintenance without losing supply conservation and controlled impact or repairs, or other perks you might find more helpful for your heavies that don't catch on fire. So playing tanks like the FV215B or even the new Object 780 are not fun because of this. You just get set on fire so easily, and you have to sacrifice competitive perks to help out. The point stands for equipment and consumables too. If I'm using CO2 in my fuel tanks, I'm losing out on either vert stabs or loader or vents. And if I'm using an extinguisher, I'm losing out on food or a med kit. And I'm definitely not putting pain tolerance in my commander either. So having 12 or 15 commander slots would allow those sort of tanks to be more competitive, as they could have the usual perks while also choosing those specific perks that help them with their fire problems. And the same argument can be made for slow turning tanks and also slow turret traverse tanks. There's perks to help out with things like that, but you really don't want to use them over the more competitive options. This next one is a must-do in my eyes. It's no secret that we bring over tanks from PC, with many of the stats unchanged. What this has actually led to, though, is the DS Panzer, the Boogie, to have more HP than equal tier tanks of its class. While most tier 5 mediums, besides the busted Panzer IV, have 450 HP on average, the DS has 590 HP. The reason for this is that when we took this line from PC, PC had already implemented a mid-tier HP buff, meaning that we have a tank line with that mid-tier HP buff, while the rest of the tanks at those tiers don't, which allows the DS and the Boogie to take more hits than other tanks of the same class and tier. And the mid-tier HP buff indirectly nerfed derp guns at low tiers from one-shotting, which again will help new players, right? Let's compare a few tanks from the Sherman line on console to PC. The M3 Stuart at tier 3 on console has 240 HP. On PC, it has 440. Our M3 Lee on a console has 410 HP. To PC's 475. And the Sherman at tier 5 has 460 HP for us, while PC's has 600 HP. This allows newer players to take more hits and make more mistakes while not being instantly punished by one-shot derp guns at this tier, and increasing survivability. It's just nicer to have. The only tank that wouldn't benefit from this buff should obviously be the Panzer V4. Another thing that should definitely come within this year is Cold War medals. Cold War has been out for more than a year now, coming on to 2 years in the summer, and there's still no medals to be earned, not even the ones we have in World War II. They keep saying they're being worked on, and I'm sure that what's taking the most time is making new medals specific to Cold War, while also getting new achievements in the game to release at the same time. But man, a simple addition of like the Top Gun medals and ones that already exist could have been nice in the meantime, but instead, it seems we're waiting for a big release of new medals and achievements. And hopefully we don't have to wait till next year to see that. Hopefully the new medals are abundant too and don't disappoint. This next one is a feature I thought we would have gotten by now. An in-game clan roster and system to invite and accept applications would be fantastic. Having to go to the website to get a tag in-game is quite frustrating. Having it being an in-game experience would just be so much better and intuitive. I would like more than just that too, but that's the bare minimum I want. It would be nice to have a clan level and an incentive to join clans, but it would also just be nice to have a roster and system to join in-game. They've been asked plenty of times about clan stuff, and the response we kept getting when Pango was still around, more than a year ago, was that a clan leaderboard was in the works, and we still don't even see that. And I don't think that that's what we need. Just give us the basics in-game. I'll probably make a separate video on my ideas for a clan leveling system and incentives, but for now all I ask from you Wargaming is a simple roster and an invite system in the game. Lastly on this list is a fix to the progression system. When the linear vehicle progression system was announced in 6.0, the big feature that was discussed was individual modules and the removal of the package system. This made many people happy, but what we didn't expect was the removal of shared modules and a system that forced every upgrade on you while also forcing what tanks you choose if the tank you were grinding leads to multiple tanks. This inadvertently made stock grinding worse than before, as you had to grind out the gun you were just using on the previous tank with a gun that's just worse. Whereas before with shared modules and even the package system, most of the time there was a free bundle at the beginning to give you the previous tank's gun for you to use. And now you must research the radios even if you don't want to. And if you were just going for a particular tank, like say, the Super Conqueror, you have to play the tier 9 more than you previously needed. Because on top of grinding modules you may not have needed before, or some that were free before with shared modules, you have to grind the other 2 tanks because the Super Conch is at the end of the line. And honestly, this system is even worse in Cold War, where the Top Gun for top air tanks is researched after you finish researching the next tank, and to an elite the tank is even further, which is just odd to me. This change artificially increased grind times while making stock experiences worse than they needed to be. They are slowly helping this out with some of their reforges by removing stock guns and buffing stock guns, but it's just band-aid fixes. What we really need is to just go back to the old system of stockpiling XP and researching things manually. PC system would be obviously nice to have, which we more closely had before, but for some reason had the bundle system incorporated into it. But at least with the bundle system we still have shared modules, packages you could ignore, and the choice of which tank you wanted first on tanks that led to multiple other tanks. And that's my wish list for the year of 2023 in World of Tanks console. Again, I left out tanks and tank lines I'd like to see, as those are expected. And I also left out a lot of Cold War wants that I have. That would have tripled this video's length, and I think it would be better just to make a separate video for that topic. If you're interested in seeing that video, make sure to subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see this year in the comments, and thanks for watching. Talk to you soon, and take care.